The receipt is the first contradiction. In a German supermarket, the drink has a price and the bottle has another. 25 cents appear as a separate line, charged before you have opened anything. You pay for liquid. You also prepay for emptiness. You leave with a thin plastic bottle of sparkling water. You drink it on a Berlin platform. The product ends. The container does not. It is lighter. It is useless as a beverage, and it still holds a legally created cash value because Germany's bottle deposit system treats the empty single-use package as a claim ticket rather than as garbage. This is not a metaphor. The 25 cents are real money, due back when an eligible empty container re-enters the return chain. An object that has completed its consumer purpose still has a price. That price was not discovered by the market in the usual way. It was mandated, standardized, and then enforced through shops, logos, and machines. Most people think recycling is a sermon. Here, it is an invoice that follows the bottle after the brand is finished speaking. Walk the object from checkout to return, and a nationwide return market comes into focus, a mandatory deposit.
A standardized marking, retailer takeback, a consumer refund, a clearing system that settles accounts across shops that never bottled the drink. It is the reason an empty disposable bottle can be, in effect, sold a second time, not as a beverage, but as a right to cash. Throw it in a public bin and you abandon prepaid money. Keep it in a kitchen bag and you carry a claim the return network is built to honor. The law does not need you to feel green. It needs you to feel the 25 cents in your hand. The rule is strict, and it is not universal. The 25-cent amount applies to covered single-use beverage packaging, not to every bottle on a German shelf. Reusable packaging follows different deposit amounts and different circulation rules. The paradox lives inside that legal split. One kind of emptiness is priced at €0.25. Another kind is designed to travel, fill, and travel again. One container, two prices on the way out. One refund on the way back, if it comes back.
Germany did not invent the idea that a package can outlive a product. It invented a particularly sharp price for one class of emptiness. For decades, the country ran two packaging philosophies at once. Reusable bottles, called Mehrweg, were meant to be washed, refilled, and sent out again, crate by crate, brewery by brewery, mineral water plant by mineral water plant. Their deposits were older, often smaller, and tied to circulation rather than to a one-time refund for scrap. Single-use bottles and cans were lighter to ship, cheaper to abandon, and easier to treat as ordinary waste. The public saw open disorder. The law saw a leak in incentives. In 1991, Germany's packaging ordinance tried to force producers into responsibility for what they put on the market. Dual systems, recovery quotas, the green dot on cardboard and tins, all of that tried to make packaging a cost that did not vanish at the curb. It was not enough to stop the drift toward disposable drinks. One-way containers kept winning on logistics. Reusable loops kept insisting they were the adult structure. The fight was industrial, not romantic. Then the one-way deposit arrived as a weapon.
In 2003, Germany imposed a mandatory deposit on many single-use beverage cans and bottles. The political story at the time was protection of the reusable share. The economic story was simpler. If an empty disposable container is worth enough, people stop treating it as air. €0.25 is not a nudge. It is large relative to a bargain drink. That is what most observers still miss. Foreign coverage hears that Germans recycle and reaches for national character, a cultural instinct for order. The deposit was not a compliment to shoppers. It was a constraint on manufacturers, fillers, and retailers chasing single-use convenience without owning the afterlife of the package. Back rooms changed shape. Aluminum that had been culturally weightless became something people carried home. Public baskets filled with eligible containers that other people then harvested. The high value was the point. A token sum can be ignored. Multiplied across a weekend, the mandated amount becomes a household figure. Later packaging statute recodified producer duties. Shops that sell covered one-way drinks were pulled into takeback.
A national apparatus had to exist so that a bottle sold in one chain could be handed in at another without each cashier inventing a private currency. Identification had to be standard, or the equipment at the storefront would become an argument with a motor. On 1 January 2024, the obligation expanded in documented form again. Germany's Environment Agency records an expansion of the deposit duty for covered single-use beverage packaging. Categories that had lived in a quieter waste stream were pulled toward the same €0.25 logic: retailer return duty, consumer refund, nationwide clearing. The date matters because it proves the mechanism is not folklore. It is a moving legal perimeter. What counts as covered can grow. What remains outside remains outside. And here is the second miss, the one that survives every humming clip of a return machine. Not every bottle is a 25-cent bottle. A reusable glass beer bottle is not the same legal object as a disposable PET bottle of cola. A crate meant to come home to a brewery is not a crushed flake bound for a recycler. Amounts differ. Circulation rules differ.
Smash the distinction, and the story becomes a fairy tale about all German packaging. The fairy tale is false. Reusable packaging is a loop. Single-use deposit packaging is a refundable one-way ticket with a cash tail. Both can look like fond to a tourist holding mixed glass. Only one of them is the 25-cent single-use claim that the Environment Agency and the DPG deposit process describe as a nationwide clearing problem. The contradiction at purchase is therefore historical, not accidental. Germany watched disposable convenience threaten a refill culture, then priced the disposable object so hard that emptiness itself became an asset. The asset is conditional. The rest of the shelf never joined the same contract. Statute moved the fence. It did not dissolve the two species of bottle. That fence is the whole plot.
The system needs a protagonist that is not a mascot. It gets an operator. Deutsches Pfandsystem GmbH, the DPG, exists because a deposit that cannot move between shops is not a national market. It is a pile of store-specific IOUs. The DPG deposit process, as the organization itself describes it, is the registered path for German one-way containers, the legally required 25-cent amount, the marking that identifies a package as participating, the return, the reimbursement, the reverse vending network, and the clearing that reallocates money after an empty has changed hands. Follow the DPG, and you are following coordination, not charity. Fillers and retailers who sell covered single-use drinks must be able to join a recognizable scheme. A logo on the shoulder of a bottle is not decoration. It is a passport. Without a standard mark, a machine in Munich has no cheap way to know whether a bottle sold in Hamburg is eligible. Without registration, clearing is a rumor. Retailers live on another edge. Take-back is an obligation, not a hobby. Floor space in a German discounter is scarce. Reverse vending machines are expensive, loud, and hungry for technicians. Staff still handle the exceptions the equipment rejects. Yet, opting out is not a private taste. Shops that place covered one-way drinks on the shelf are pulled into the return chain. The Environment Agency documents the duty, the refund to the consumer, the nationwide clearing requirement. The store's motive is mixed. Comply, keep the customers who arrive with rattling sacks, and avoid becoming the unpaid depot for every container in the district, a fear smaller shops voice when duties widen. Manufacturers and fillers reach for the light bottle, the long shipping range, the one-way convenience that crates cannot always match. The deposit makes them carry a financial object alongside the drink. Their ambition is still volume. Their constraint is that packaging now rides with a cash tail they cannot treat as decoration on a label. The shopper looks like the hero in posters. In the mechanism, the shopper is a temporary custodian of a claim. Consume, hold, return, collect. The psychology is blunt. 25 cents is enough to redirect a hand that was aiming at a bin, enough to make a student carry plastic home on a bus. Regulators on the federal environment side are not selling cola. They are trying to make producer responsibility bite in the drinks aisle. When a category escapes into ordinary waste, the perimeter can be moved. Calendar expansions are that instinct with a date stamp. The visible motive is sufficient. Everyone in the chain needs the drinks trade to function. The deposit exists because unconstrained single-use packaging does not come back by goodwill at the rate the law requires. So obligations manufacture a price that outlasts thirst. Decisions follow, some of them expensive. A filler registers a package, or the package does not travel as a deposit bottle. A retailer installs a wall of machines, or the storeroom drowns. A shopper pockets a voucher, or donates the amount to whoever next touches the plastic. None of these people need to love the others. They need the mark, the duty, and the settlement. Affection is irrelevant.
Morning in Leipzig. A one-way bottle of cola stands in a low crate, mark printed, barcode placed for a scanner that has never been thirsty. At the till, the drink and the deposit are collected as separate economic events. The bottle leaves in a tote. Midday, the bottle is empty beside a tram stop. A hand moves toward a public bin, then stops. The amount is small and not small. The bottle goes into a backpack. A supermarket that did not sell this bottle. The mouth of a reverse vending machine accepts the cylinder. Light finds the DPG marking. A reader takes the identifier. For a second, the object is neither product nor waste. It is a record. Eligible. It draws the bottle in. Then it ends the object as a returnable thing. Compaction. Crushing. A bottle that can be tendered twice is a double claim on one deposit. The system cannot allow emptiness to be cached like a copied ticket, so the machine kills the shape. The shape cannot be tendered again. A voucher. The amount for this unit is 25 cents, more if the bag was heavy. At the cashier, the voucher becomes cash or a slice off the grocery bill. The consumer claim closes. Now, the part the queue never sees. Reverse vending data does not die at the printer. Counts, valid identifiers, the fact of take-back, they feed clearing. The retailer who just refunded money in a store that never collected this particular deposit cannot be left with a loss. The firm that collected 25 cents at the original sale cannot treat that float as a gift from a vanished object. Nationwide clearing reconciles deposits across retailers. Germany's Environment Agency documents the requirement. The DPG process describes the same settlement job. Without it, accepting a stranger's bottle would be charity. Charity does not scale to a republic of competing shops. The crushed plastic leaves for the single-use recycling stream. Molecule and cash separate. Feedstock one way, settlement the other. Exceptions are the war. A missing logo is not a claim the machine will honor. A foreign one-way lookalike is not a German refund. A reusable bottle jammed into a one-way slot is a category error. The display says no. The customer hears a beep and declares the country broken. The country is being specific. In many stores, the reusable crate and the one-way mouth are different animals. Staff become border agents of packaging law. Smaller shops fight geometry. If every eligible cylinder in a city can be dumped on a kiosk, the storeroom becomes a depot nobody funded. Limits that tie some take-back duties to the kinds of packaging a shop actually sells are not trivia. They're the difference between a corner store and a reverse logistics warehouse. Large chains swallow the machines, the service contracts, the noise. They also swallow footfall. The sack of empties is a leash through the automatic doors. Fillers feel a different bind. One-way still ships. The old political dream that a harsh deposit would simply restore refill dominance does not arrive as a clean victory. Shoppers still reach for the light bottle. Retailers still face it out. The deposit did not abolish disposable drinks. It domesticated them. That is the cut under the success. A country can be excellent at returns and still preside over a market that prefers the container that was never meant to come home full. Unreturned packaging is the quiet failure. Some units go into residual household waste. Some lie on ballast. Some leave in a suitcase and die in a bin that cannot read the mark. When the eligible container is not returned, the consumer does not receive the 25 cents. No voucher, no take-back record for that object. The prepaid deposit remains in the chain of firms that collected it at sale. It is what happens when a claim is never presented. For that unit, the price signal failed. The drink is gone. The cash did not come back to the person who drank. On pavements, another market answers the same number. Collectors open public bins with practiced hands. They need the mark and a working machine.
the amount meant to discipline the original buyer becomes a wage for whoever will handle the sticky cylinder. Fraud pressure never clocks out, even when it is not cinematic. Duplicate returns, imported lookalikes, labels soaked to unreadability, compaction, identification, registration, defenses. Every defense has a cost, and the cost lands on the firms forced to participate. Between sale and return, days pass. Multiply 25 cents by the millions of eligible containers sitting in kitchens, cars, and office corners, and a gigantic temporary cash position appears, part household piggy bank, part firm float. That is system scale.
The climax is not a courtroom. It is a Tuesday night when the machine is full, the conveyor jams, and a line of people holding legally valuable emptiness waits under fluorescent tubes. The drinks market has already finished. The return market is still open, irritable, exact. A clerk overrides a reject, or does not. A collector adds one more bottle to a stretched bag. Somewhere a file tallies a takeback that another shop in another state will have to settle. Dominoes in order. Marking makes machines possible. Machines make mass takeback possible. Mass takeback makes cross-retailer refunds necessary. Clearing makes those refunds survivable. The height of the 25 cents makes consumers and collectors bother at all. Remove one, and the empty cylinder becomes litter again, or a quarrel at a till. The system holds. It does not hold perfectly. Return is the design. Leakage is the remainder. Between them sits the crushed bottle, worthless as a drink, still the reason a national ledger stays awake. A market is supposed to price the thing in the bottle. Germany's bottle deposit system prices the shell after the thing is gone. That inversion is the principle. Use value dies with the last swallow. Exchange value, of a peculiar legal kind, continues. The state, through a mandatory deposit on covered single-use beverage packaging, manufactures a second commodity beside the drink, the right to be paid for bringing the shell back. Retailers are conscripted as buyers of that shell. Machines are the clerks. Clearing is the bank. Consumers and collectors are the mobile inventory department. Ordinary waste policy lectures the public and then hopes. This design changes the relative price of throwing versus returning, then forces manufacturers and shops to keep the return chain staffed. Behavior moves because 25 cents moves. Firms participate because the packaging cannot live in the covered one-way market as a free-floating leftover. The qualifier is not a footnote, it is the moral of the instrument. The 25-cent rule does not baptize every German bottle. Reusable packaging remains a different species with different amounts and a job that is refill, not refund and crush.
If you forget the split, you will think the country performed a miracle on all containers. It did not. It built a sharp tool and aimed it. Look long enough, and the tool teaches a colder lesson about incentives. People are not first green, then economic. They are economic, and green outcomes can be a side effect of a claim they will not burn. A high deposit looks like punishment and functions as a refundable bond. Call it what the filings allow: a mandated amount, a take-back duty, a reimbursement, a clearing obligation. The poetry is optional. The ledger is not. There is a cruelty inside the elegance. Unreturned units leave their prepaid cash stranded in the chain. Collectors convert other people's abandoned claims into hourly survival. Small shops inherit the geometry of a national scheme they did not draw. Chains keep hardware humming long after the last receipt. Success is a high return rate. Success is also a drinks aisle still crowded with one-way plastic that now comes home more often, crushed, accounted for, and still not a crate on a loop. Other countries copy pieces: a logo, a machine, a number on a receipt. The pieces fail when they are souvenirs. They work when emptiness is expensive enough, when take-back is a duty rather than a favor, and when somebody's books must balance after a bottle crosses from one chain to another. So the story does not end on virtue. It ends on a manufactured price that survives the product, a legally created cash value attached to covered single-use packaging after the liquid is gone. Narrow, Effective? Incomplete. The bond works because it is boring. It does not require a campaign anthem. It requires a mark a scanner can trust, a shop that cannot shrug, and a settlement that treats 25 cents as a debt between firms rather than as a tip from a saint. Households comply without becoming saints. Saints are optional. The scanner is not. That is the point of pricing emptiness, and it still leaks. If a republic can make an empty bottle into money, which other discarded shells are one statute away from growing a price? And which shops would be forced to buy that emptiness back?